All right, everybody, happy new year. I am back talking about, as you guys can see, SoFi Technologies Incorporated. Once again, this is ticker symbol SOFI or SoFi. I know I made a video about it towards the end of 2021, just a couple of days ago, and that video did pretty well. So I was back ready to cover this stock again. And this stock, if the videos keep performing well, might end up being a mainstay on this channel. But I was excited to check this stock out because this was a good day for the markets. Markets were hot. Markets were up. And SoFi was one of these stocks, with a lot of hype, a huge, fan base, cult-like following, whatever behind it, and a big stock that people are looking out for to maybe have a big 2022, but maybe continue a recent downward trend as well. And it really could go either way. So this is going to be a very, very entertaining and exciting stock to follow. And it's going to be one that, could make people a lot of money, could lose people a lot of money. We'll have to see. But yeah, it is now 2022. So there were some hopes of like, hey, tax loss harvesting's done. We got beat down all December. Now it's time for, things to come out roaring in January. Obviously the past month, SoFi has been pretty flat, honestly, only down 1/4%. I thought it was down a little bit more than that, but only down 1/4%. They're pretty flat. And the past year, they're actually up pretty massively. They're up 28.5% over the past year. So this has been a good performing stock, if you got in at $12.20 at the beginning of 2021. But obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs in between. So it's hard for me to say that this is too much of like a tax loss harvesting stock just because, it's up 30% on the year. There were some people who made some massive, massive gains with SoFi. Yes, some people that lost some money, but depending on where you bought in, it's not as prime of an example as some other companies that we look at on the channel that are down 20, 30, 40% in the past year. So that had, something to do with it. But I was a little bit disappointed to see that, SoFi was down almost a full percent today when the markets did good. Dow's up 0.5%, S&P's up 0.5%, NASDAQ's up 1.2%, Russell's up 1.2%. So, what the heck, SoFi? Why did we have such a bad day today? And that kind of sucks. And I know that there was some kind of, not necessarily bad news, but some kind of concerns and worries with SoFi. I know on the SoFi stock subreddit, people were saying in December, the fact that the SoFi app, SoFi Investing Financial app, dropped only 90K downloads on iOS in December. Why do you think this fell off? Was anyone expecting this? We figured it'd be higher because of the holidays. And it's like, I don't generally know exactly when the most peak app downloads and all that stuff is. And yeah, maybe people are getting some new phones and stuff for Christmas. But, it seems to me like a lot of content and stuff maybe takes a little bit of a step back in December. I know that last weekend or the last even week in the markets, we saw, volumes going way, way down. People are not necessarily focusing on investing in finances, over the holidays, over Christmas. That's when you spend a little extra money. It's when you care about finances a little bit less. It's when you worry about finances and stocks and all that stuff a little bit less. You kind of splurge. And if you're spending all this money on Christmas presents and vacations and New Year's plans, you don't have as much money to invest in all this stuff. So I'm not super, super concerned, but some people were worried a little bit, that SoFi's, app downloads were not growing month over month. I know this top comment says that they dropped on Android as well. They had 60K downloads. Still gives you 150,000 downloads for the month. Like this guy says, ideally, you'd be growing month over month, but he'll take it. His suspicion is that people aren't focused on, their work and banking stuff when they're focused on travel and family, which I think is really, really fine. But the Apple downloads, this guy says he thinks were 200,000 in November. So going from 200,000 to 90,000, that's a pretty significant drop. So this is definitely something we're going to want to keep our eye on into 2022. What's January going to look like? Not only in terms of how active the user base is, but how is the user base growing? How are downloads growing? Do people like SoFi? Is SoFi spreading by word of mouth? Are they having high, cost of acquisition? Do they have to market more? A lot of these things. So this was something that people were a little bit worried about. But there was some really, really massive, big news coming out over the past couple of days, which could be a huge, insane catalyst. This cannot be understated for SoFi. Potentially some of this is already priced in, but there is, some other stuff going on as well. Obviously, the bank charter news that everyone's been talking about. You go to the subreddit, I think the bank charter news is imminent. You go down here, bank charter patience. You just scroll through, there's so much stuff. Bank charter shenanigans. So many people talking about different bank charter stuff. And that's been all the talk of the SoFi subreddit for the past couple of weeks or maybe even months of when are we going to get this bank charter? When is this thing going to happen? because I know I covered in my last video, SoFi and other people make it pretty clear that SoFi, yes, they do offer many of the same products and services as traditional financial institutions. They are competing in that same space as a lot of traditional banks, but they are not a bank. And that doesn't mean that they don't want to be a bank. That doesn't mean there's not value in becoming a bank. It just means at this time they are not, legally or by definition or whatever, a bank. So them becoming a bank and then, having an extra leg to stand on, having a little extra credibility, opening themselves up to more possibilities and opportunities, legally and everything, being able to, broaden their horizons a little bit and hopefully be able to make more money, be able to acquire customers cheaper, and just overall spread their wings as a company and as a bank. Would be a really, really big step forward. So some of the big news we got for this was this person posted yesterday, interesting change for mobile check deposits. I recently deposited a paper check into my SoFi money account. The prompt now states, sign the check and write for deposit to SoFi Bank. Now, they do say here, previously the prompt stated to deposit for SoFi money. And now they're changing it to SoFi Bank. Would they call themselves a bank if they are not a bank? And they clearly state, this is from SoFi.com, even on their website, that they are not a bank. What's going on here? Is this imminent? Is this bank charter announcement imminent? Is it coming out today? Is it coming out this week? Is it coming out soon? Did this go live a little bit too early? Is this some kind of mistake? Is this a leak? I don't know exactly for sure, but that's what has a lot of people wondering exactly what's going on. And then this guy said as well, I deposited a check last week. It said SoFi money. Now it's showing SoFi Bank for him. People saying this is big, huge. Everyone is getting excited. But now this guy's saying, yep, bank, not money anymore. More and more people are confirming this. And then we actually did finally get a screenshot, because there were still obviously so many people, who don't have the app or don't use SoFi or whatever, saying, hey, can we get some actual evidence? Can we get a screenshot? Can we see some of this stuff? People are going to be skeptical, and rightfully so. You should always be skeptical, wanting to get that hard evidence. And we did get a screenshot to verify the earlier post. You can see how many awards and stuff this has. People have been waiting for this for so long. You must sign the back of your check and write for deposit to SoFi Bank. And then everyone, gets excited again. Give it up to OP for producing evidence. SoFi Bank for me, just checked. It is good info. And again, people are saying you may have found the first link. This may have been a drop that was not supposed to come out yet. This was, maybe something they did on the back end, preparing for a big announcement, and then somebody accidentally clicked the wrong button, or it went live on the wrong date, or maybe they're delaying the announcement a little bit or whatever. But it does seem like SoFi has secured their bank charter, and that an announcement is coming very, very soon. And once that announcement comes, once we get an actual, press release, announcement, whatever, I am so curious to see what the stock price does, not only in the short term, but in the long term as well. Because there's two, sides of thought here. There's one that a lot of this was priced in. People are expecting SoFi to become a bank. People know, they've been in this process of acquiring a bank charter. People know that this has been a big deal. People are excited for this. And when it happens, hey, surprise, we're not shocked. We knew this was happening. So is that going to get people to buy in? Is that going to get people to sell out? Or were people just waiting for this announcement, waiting for a huge run up, and then they're going to sell off? So maybe that huge run up won't come. Or is this going to be a catalyst that gets people flooding in like, hey, SoFi is legit now. This is the next big step for SoFi stock. I was on the edge. I was on the fence. I wasn't sure if they were going to get this bank charter. There was a lot of uncertainty. I wasn't sure, but now they're official. Now they're the real deal. Now I'm ready to jump in, and not just jump in, but jump in with a significant investment that could, send the stock to the moon. Now, in the short term, all that stuff could happen. In the long term, I think this should, be a net positive play for SoFi, obviously over the next 2 to 5 to plus years. So I'm not too worried about what this thing does in the short term, but I do think, don't be surprised if it goes massively up or massively down in the short term. But this was very, very big news coming out from the SoFi stock subreddit, that and I'm sure a lot of other people involved in the SoFi community, and even SoFi shareholders. I'm not currently a shareholder. I'm just starting to dip my toe into the whole SoFi world. Should be very, very excited for. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about SOFI. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Consider checking out my Patreon. First link in the description below. All the money from the Patreon goes directly into a YouTube portfolio that I track over time on this channel that we're trying to grow from $100 to $100,000. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.